the clear first-hand direct perception through the first sense of what is real within, of what the seed is, of what is held in the metaphysical ground. Disciplined thinking grounded in recognition is effortless, not because it requires no practice, but because recognition supplies the direction naturally. The thinker does not force thinking toward the seed. They simply recognize the seed, and thinking is drawn toward what has been recognized. Recognition is the magnetic ground of disciplined thinking. This is the 7-minute daily focus, day 172 of 365, to focus on the world within from the world without. Today's focus, the law of disciplined thinking, the ground of disciplined thinking. Pause for a moment. Every element of this structure has its ground. The mind is the ground of thought. The first sense is the instrument through which the ground receives, and disciplined thinking has its ground. Today, you understand what the ground of disciplined thinking is, and why that ground is the only position from which discipline can genuinely hold. Pause. The ground of disciplined thinking is recognition, not effort, not willpower, not self-imposed restriction. Recognition. The clear first-hand direct perception through the first sense of what is real within, of what the seed is, of what is held in the metaphysical ground. Disciplined thinking grounded in recognition is effortless, not because it requires no practice, but because recognition supplies the direction naturally. The thinker does not force thinking toward the seed. They simply recognize the seed, and thinking is drawn toward what has been recognized. Recognition is the magnetic ground of disciplined thinking. Thought is within, effect is without. Thinking stands between. Pause for a moment. When discipline is grounded in recognition, returning to the seed after drift is not difficult, because what the thinker is returning to is something they know, something they have perceived directly, something that is genuinely real within them. The thinker who is not clear on what they have recognized finds returning to the seed effortful, because they are returning to something vague, something not fully perceived, something they are trying to sustain from the outside in. But the thinker who has recognized clearly, whose first sense has opened and perceived the seed directly, has a ground to return to, a real ground, a within that is genuinely known, and returning to what is genuinely known is the most natural thing a thinker can do. Pause for a moment. This is why the morning practice is the ground of disciplined thinking, not as discipline imposed, as recognition restored. Each morning, the first sense is opened. The seed is perceived again. Recognition is fresh. The ground is re-established. And from that fresh recognition, thinking is directed naturally upon the seed, because the seed is genuinely known, genuinely perceived, genuinely real. The morning practice is not about effort. It is about grounding disciplined thinking in recognition every morning before the day begins, before what is physically seen claims the ground. Ground recognition first, and disciplined thinking operates from its only genuine source. Pause. The ground of disciplined thinking is recognition. Without recognition, the clear inner perception of the seed, there is nothing to be disciplined about, nothing to sustain thinking upon. No direction for the discipline, no inner object that the discipline can hold. The thinker who tries to be disciplined without clear recognition experiences discipline as effort, as resistance, as the forcing of thinking towards something they can only vaguely perceive. This is not discipline, this is strain. The thinker who perceives within through the first sense and recognizes clearly what is there has the ground for disciplined thinking. Recognition says, this is what is within, this is what is real. This is what carries the physical expression that is developing. Disciplined thinking says, upon this I will sustain thinking, day after day, without interruption. The ground is recognition, and from that ground, the discipline is natural, not forced, not manufactured. Natural, because the thinker knows what they are sustaining thinking upon. They perceive it clearly, they recognize it as real, and real things, clearly perceived, are easy to return to. Recognition is the ground. Discipline is what grows from it. And what grows from clear ground must express clearly without. Now, the affirmation for day 172. Pause for a moment. Thinking is within my direction. I am aware of thinking. I direct it deliberately, from within, from what is recognized, not from what is physically seen. I do not follow conditions. I sustain thinking upon the seed. Day after day, morning after morning. This is not effort, this is discipline, and discipline builds momentum, and momentum sustains development, and what is sustained unfolds, and what unfolds must physically express. Remember, by design, by focus,